Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
What's the last situation you had with somebody that maybe had a problem, maybe with their credit, and take me through the process of what that situation was and then how you resolved it.
So, I mean, it's weird because every situation is different, but yet every situation is the same in a weird way. But, typically it'll be, we get the credit report. I'm going to look at that in depth. And then it's always going to come down to what's the client's capacity to be able to also participate in the program. It's not a passive program. It's participant. It's 50-50, right? If you're not doing your part and staying current on your accounts and doing the things that we're asking, like established credit, right, you're not going to get to the finish line. Yeah. It's never a question of if with credit, it's just a question of when, right? You can have terrible credit. You can just come out of bankruptcy. And so long as you're doing the right stuff afterwards, establishing credit, then you're going to be able to get a home loan down the road, right? Now, you've got 2 years typically, I think, to be able to do that from Chapter 7. Right?
Yeah, Chapter 7, it's for an FHA loan, right. 4 years conventional. But the thing about this is people don't understand it. When you get a bankruptcy, it's basically saying, hey, you got your slap on the hand, you get a second chance. And I've seen a lot of people where they don't take advantage of that second chance. And what I mean by that is...
what do you mean by that?
Well, so they forgive you for you still have to make the payment.
It's an analogy, just like Brett brings up. It's one of those analogies. So you get a second chance.
Do analogies. You don't do analogies. Like, I'm a professional analogy giver, okay? And you can tell that.
But it's a second chance. So let's say you had a bankruptcy and you wiped everything clean. The hardest thing to do, or the worst thing you could do if you're trying to get any type of loan, but especially a home loan, is be late on another trade line. Like, that just shows like, okay, you didn't learn your lesson. So now you might have a score that's a 660, 680 that's passive, but if you got a couple of lates after that, or you got some shaky stuff going on after you might not get approved by an underwriter. Because they're like, you know what, you're not thinking.
You're just a loser, dude. We don't give mortgages to losers.
But it's true. I mean, you gotta look at it from an underwriter standpoint. They're underwriting for the investor, right? So why would I give you a loan if you already had a bankruptcy and you wiped everything out, you got a second chance at things, and you just said, hey, screw it, I'm going to do the same thing.
You wouldn't. That's the answer.
You can't handle the truth.
Right, you can't get a loan, damn it.
But it's true. You have to look at these things. So my job and what he does coincide with each other. We both work together. We're both trying to accomplish the same thing, which is take this client, have good credit. If they don't have it, send them to him. They fix his credit, her or his credit, whoever it is, and then they get him to a point where they can get in a position to buy a house. And so a lot of people that come to you, it's an emotional position that they're in. They probably feel vulnerable.
100%. Yeah, because it is a delicate thing. Like, it's an ego thing, right? Like, I don't want you to judge me, And we don't do that. We're very objective based. So there's no emotion from our side.
Say it's all right, dude. I'll judge you no matter what. Don't worry about it being your credit.
It is. It's totally an emotional thing, for sure. Especially if there's health reasons. Somebody's got a lot of medical collections.
I bet, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Is there something for somebody, let's say they got sick, or let's say they had some things and they got a real legit reason of why this happened? Like, hey, you know what? For instance, I don't want to say this, but let's say somebody did get COVID, or somebody did have some significant thing that happened to them. And they couldn't, let's say, pay some things.
Yeah, they were in the hospital.
In this position now, we know that these things were pushed down the road, right? It's like a pause for everybody last year, but it's not going to continue. What if you got it today? Or let's say you got sick let's say you got, I don't know, something, and you have a problem.
I would call my creditor and tell them what happened, and hopefully they'll understand the situation. We are in COVID, right? And so, I mean, this happened to a lot of people right now. Typically speaking, something like that, if you don't have something in writing from the creditor, there's no way we can challenge something that, let's just say you got a credit card, stop paying on it, bunch of late payments, you had COVID, right? We can't just challenge it and say, oh, client had COVID, to take this off the credit report. The creditor is going to need to acknowledge that and do something with that and be willing to forgive it. And so typically a situation like that, I'd say, hey, call the creditor, see what they're willing to do for you. Setting expectations low, but
does that help?
It does in some situations.
Most creditors are receptive to that, of people calling?
They can be, and I think especially now with regards to COVID and everything. mortgage rates are some of the toughest stuff to get off the credit report too.
Yeah.
And obviously you hate seeing that when you're trying to write a new mortgage for somebody. There's some mortgage rates, but typically something like that is like, you got to talk to your
Can't you
mortgage
just
company.
put your white out over that?
Of course. Mortgage fraud happens
Close
every
your
day.
eyes, yeah.
2007. Never mind. We won't talk about those.
Hey, that's some sensitive stuff right there. I'm telling you, that's some sensitive stuff.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
So let's look at the website of where you're at here.
Yeah.
So here you go. We have e-credit advisors. If you guys want to get a hold of Brandon here, Brandon's very knowledgeable. Obviously, we're seeing and hearing a lot of facts. He's spitting facts here today at us.
Go back.
Yes, he is.
Oh, he's spitting.
The one
over
thing
there.
that
I'm learning all kinds of stuff.
one of the important things that Brandon is trying to say is, so when you get your credit repaired, that's what you look like afterwards.
You're happy. Yeah.
Happy family.
You
That's
look
the
like
after
you look like
photo.
a model.
Yeah.
You're happy.
We didn't want to put the before photo. People would be
before.
offended. Yeah.
How you started, how you're gonna end up now.
I was going.
Here's
yeah.
you now.
Everybody's getting
Right?
an 811, right?
Yeah, right.
Brandon, everybody gets an 811. Is that right?
I guess more for demonstration purposes. I would.
815 for you. 820 for you. You get an 810.
So let's go down this. Okay, so if somebody want to get a hold of you, they can call this 800 number, or
Yes.
how does that work?
Yeah, for sure. So go into the site, the 1-800 number there. You just call that, and you'll be able to reach one of us. But you can keep scrolling down there. You can submit a consultation request if you don't want to call us. If you're shy, that's okay.
And you guys work across the entire country.
Yeah, across the entire country. Only in the United States, no other countries.
Wait a second.
Across the
No
US.
other countries matter.
You guys aren't Lexington law, right?
No.
Okay, good.
No,
I
we're
just wanted to
we're
make
much
sure.
better. Yeah, much
Lexington
better.
law. What a joke.
You're right. So I think this is a good starting point. We got a couple of people here that are looking to. Harry Gill wants to get your information right here. Harry, if you, we'll give, if we can maybe get your information off the show, or maybe we can somehow get a hold of you. But you can call this number. This is an 800 number that you can get a
What's
hold
the
of.
website?
Do you have a direct number to you?
I do, and I can give you my email address too. I don't know if you could pop that in there, and then
Yeah,
shoot me
let's
over
pop
email.
your email.
Pop it in.
What's your email address?
So B AR
Okay.
CH
Uh-huh.
AM
Okay.
BA
Uh-huh.
ULT. I know it's long. At
ULT. Uh-huh.
at ecreditadvisor.com.
eCredit. I might have a typo on this one.
ADVISOR.
Yeah, shop.
I don't have my glasses on,
Say
so I
that,
can't
say
see
that
it,
10 times fast. If
Or-
you guys want to get a hold of Mr. Brandon here, we just put his email out there.
You pop my number in there too.
Okay, what's your number, buddy?
It's 512.
Uh-huh. 512. Okay.
Yeah, we used to have a call center in Texas.
Okay.
So 512-900-4910.
Okay. And I want to get some feedback, man. I want to see how many people really, because look at you
course.
sound legit.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I've had a lot
Dude,
of people.
I'm telling you, he is legit.
He's legit.
I mean, just from listening to him talk, he knows what he's talking about.
And this is not like we're not like boosting you up here. Like we're really like saying, hey, you know what? We've been in the industry. Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, there's been people that were on the fence, right? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And they've collected people's money, thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And then guess where they're at? They're in Mexico. We can't find them, right? And they're partying. And I'm telling you,
They're in that great big desert in a hole like everyone else.
I'm telling you, man.
That's how we make them learn a lesson around here.
So
they're in
to your
Mexico.
point,
86.
important to note here, we have 100% money back guarantee too. The reason why we do that is because we're not going to take on a file that we don't think has an impact. And if we do, and we don't have an impact, you're getting your money back.
Yeah.
So
Then that's on you.
yeah,
Right? Yep.
100%.
anything else?
I did mention earlier, I do want to highlight this. There is a difference between debt consolidation and credit repair. I think it's important to highlight the two. I don't know if you've had people come to you that had debt consolidation or they were in debt consolidation.
What
You
is
pull
the
their
difference?
credit
Explain that to us.
and their credit's just scorched. So credit repair is when we're looking at your file, we're leveraging the different consumer protection laws on your behalf to challenge accounts and legitimately try to get them removed from your credit report. Totally above board, totally legal, no problem with that at all. Our goal is to get negative accounts removed from your credit report. That's what credit repair is. Debt consolidation is a company that's going to settle your debts for you over a long period of time. And it's not uncommon for people to be in a debt con program for 2, 3, 4 years.
And then they have it set up so that the payments pay off the company first,
Right.
and then you actually go towards
And so what happens is
your debts later.
Yeah. And so what happens is you enter a contract with a debt consolidation company and they say, you pay us $500 a month.
Yep.
It's going to be more because you're settling your debts to them. What they'll do is they'll go to your creditors and they basically are acting on your behalf.
You could do yourself.
but they throw them in default. And so they intentionally default on your debt so they can get leverage on the creditors. Then go to the creditors and say,
Jesus,
if
really?
you want money, we'll negotiate now 50 cents
So
on the
they
dollar.
dig your
whatever
hole
it is.
deep
Oh, yes.
as in hopes that
Exactly.
So how do
They'll give
you
them more
prevent
leverage.
that? Like
That's
if you're
crazy,
somebody out there that
Crazy.
could be in a position like that,
Yeah.
and you're like, you know what, they don't watch this show or they haven't seen information,
Yeah.
out there. How do you prevent that? Like how do you know the difference? Like
See, this is the problem. You
need
don't.
to
If
get
you don't,
educated.
if you don't,
I mean, you
right?
can't be responsible for everyone's
Yeah.
mind.
well, if somebody's watching though,
Right.
what are some of the key things that they can look for or,
Yeah.
or notice if they did, like, let's say if they're in there now and they're like, well,
Yeah.
maybe I should jump out of this now from what I'm hearing. Is that something you would
So,
recommend?
but best case scenario, you're not in it yet and you're just considering it. If that's the case, then call me, shoot me an email. Let's do a consultation so I can advise you correctly.
yeah,
on
I
it.
would say if you even have a question, you should call them.
Yeah. If you're in debt consolidation now, what's going to happen? And let's say you're 2 years into a 5-year program, you need to finish that program because what's happened is it scorches your credit and your credit is not
The
going to be
damage is already
improved
done.
until you're done that program.
We want to talk about the housing market. We always do. Brandon, what do you know about the housing market right now? What do you feel about it? Because I know you live in Las Vegas. Have you seen some of the changes? I'm sure you have. How long you been in Vegas, you said?
So I've been here for 5 years and I actually just bought a house in June. And yeah, obviously the prices are skyrocketed right now. I think that's probably more for your guys' perspective to say where the housing market's going. I don't think it's going to change dramatically anytime soon in Vegas. I'm talking specifically in Otter Creek.
It's not going to.
Yeah. And so I for myself in this market, I felt like it was time for me to get in because I want to participate.
And
here,
that's my point of what I'm trying to say about buyers is like if you can afford to buy a house, you're better off buying than you are renting.
Yep.
And are we going to lead more into more of a normalized market? Yes, but it's definitely not going to be a crash. And I mean,
it's different than 2007, 2008, right? The total
completely
circumstances are way
different because you understand what's behind it and how it's different with the loan. I mean, you know exactly what happened then and how it's different now. I mean, I always say to people when they, what if I'm like, have you tried getting a loan lately? They want a blood sample in your firstborn. I mean, literally to get a loan now.
Absolutely.
Like back in 2007. Oh, I make $350,000 a year. Trust me. Sounds good. Sign here.
Yeah.
Remember Nina loans? No income, no assets?
Yeah.
I'm a teacher and I make $350,000 a year. I want that $500,000 house and I want 2 duplexes that are $350 a piece. Cool. Sign here.
So I have a question. I have a question for you, being that what your job is, you're a realtor, and so since the housing market's gone kind of crazy here in the past little while, what's the craziest scenario that you've seen with regards to somebody trying to get a house that there's competition on? Did they write letters and stuff like that? Because I've heard that people are writing letters.
Yeah,
trying to hit their
personal
emotions.
letters.
So what's going on there?
So I primarily work as a buyer's agent. So very few people write letters.
Yeah,
It's not as common as you think, but some do.
yeah.
And I've never seen it make a difference.
That's what I've heard too. Yeah.
My sister wrote a letter and she got the house.
And it's funny.
There
It's
you go.
the same thing
Cool.
I say that sellers love open houses when you open house because they're paying you and it sees. But the odds of a realtor hosting an open house and selling it through an open house are about 1 or 2%. And the minute I say that to somebody, they say, "Hey, my brother bought a house through an open house." I say, "Well, there you go." Same thing. Like the minute I say something, but
Brett, are you up late at night writing letters, man? You're
yeah,
rolling them up. You're like writing it, like crumbling it up. This isn't the one.
especially in a market like this, everybody's hearing. Everybody knows it's a seller's market. So sellers go from greed to greedier.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. I'm not saying it can't. Sometimes it might. It just I've never seen it, and I don't really see letters being written too much. It really just comes down to the highest best. And I mean, I've seen anything for, what was it? It was a $610,000 property, and the highest winning bid on it was $720 cash. Wow, 110 over.
Yeah, but that's a rare situation. That's not like
that. Well, he asked.
Yeah.
What's the most
I was
extreme?
curious.
So
that's pretty extreme. But I mean, I don't want people to think like that's
no. The normal scenario of what was happening based on the price point, I would say between 500,000 and 700,000. Things were going anywhere between 15 to 40. And then obviously 800-900. A million's a little different. That's kind of a whole different animal itself. Yeah. So you get 700,000 or 800,000. You start to see 50 over, 75 over, but it's kind of more relative because it's a $750,000 house.
Yeah, totally.
But that's kind of calming down now.
Yeah.
So the house that's still the awesome house of the neighborhood, big yard, nice house, updated, pool, all that stuff, will still sell right away and might get, 3 or 4 offers, but it might go $5,000 over. It might go $10,000 over. It's not going $50,000 over or $100,000 over.
Well,
You're not getting 15, 20 offers.